The Gaming Outsider Podcast. They're an inspiration for birth control.
What's up, Gaming Outsider listeners? This week, Zach and I are talking about non-romantic relationships in games. You know, those buddy relationships. In news, the SAG-AFTRA video game actor strike officially started this week. You'll also hear Zach's impressions of the most recent remaster of Star Wars Bounty Hunter, and I played Nintendo World Championships NES Edition on the Switch. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com or facebook.com/groups/thegocast, and even our Discord server. You can find a link for that in the show notes for this very episode. It is Tuesday, July 30th. Yes, we are recording on a new recording day. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me is, once again, my good friend, Mr. Zach Parkerson. Zach, how are you?
What's up, man? Yeah, it feels crazy. I just got off work. You know, life's a mystery right now.
Yeah, are you used to the new schedule? Because we should probably tell everybody you kind of switched schedules. So
well, I guess I don't know if they cared, but yeah, I get up much earlier now. I wake up now when I used to go to bed.
Right.
It has been quite an experience.
But that is why we are changing our recording date from Sunday to Tuesday.
Right.
Because I really did not like recording on weekends. So it made it easier on me, and it sounded like it was easier on you. So hallelujah, here we are.
Right.
Tuesday night recordings.
Big development. Let's see how it goes. You know, just me and you though, so
it is, which I think is kind of apropos considering our topic. It's all about buddy relationships.
Oh yeah, that's quite true.
So that kind of worked out a little bit well in our favor. But yeah, Chris was not available today. He is working. He apparently is still on this podcast. Today is Alyssa's birthday, so we decided to give her the day off.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Alyssa. So she, yeah. So it's just Zach and I once again. Last time we recorded, we were sitting across the table from each other in Portland. It was a grand time. Had a really good time. We even did a Patreon episode with Mike out there. But we're back to the grind, as it were. And I got to tell you, Zach, I am still recovering from our Extra Life event that we had this Saturday.
So this is your 24-hour live stream you did. I checked in on you probably, I want to say 10:30 or 11. You guys were playing some game I had never seen before in my life. And you seemed alert then.
10:30 in the morning or 10:30
in the evening?
Your evening?
Yes, so I guess midnight-ish for you.
Okay. We probably were playing, was it a multiplayer game?
I don't know. I'm so sorry. It looked like something I hadn't seen before.
Okay. All right. I got some games to talk about. I actually played something new that I'd never discovered, and it was outstanding. Can't wait to tell you about that one. But before I do, I got to give a shout out to some of our listeners that actually donated to our Extra Life cause, which all went to a children's hospital in Chicago. So shout out to Sean McGuire, Edwin Smith, Gamer Knight 45, and Mike Card. Because of them, we were able to raise over $300 for the hospital. So thank you very much to everybody that tuned in and watched and conversed with us and donated to the cause. It goes directly to the hospital. We don't see a dime of it. It was definitely a learning experience for us, Zach, because we learned a lot of things that were good to do. We learned a lot of things that were not so good to do. And so we are already starting a plan to do it better next time. But let me tell you.
What's not good to do, like napping on the stream? Or
I don't think anybody napped on the stream. We all actually stayed awake. But I want to have a schedule. Like we just kind of played whatever, and we kept switching, you know, who was doing what, switching consoles to Switch and Xbox and my Xbox and CB's Xbox. And you know, like the camera placement, like it was so far away. It was like, you know, if it needs to be zoomed in more. And like I said, just like a schedule of things that we're gonna play, that we've got, you know, an itinerary to follow instead of just doing whatever. I mean, obviously, whoever's off screen can do whatever.
How much do I need to donate to make you play Star Fox Adventures Dinosaur Planet?
I have played Star Fox Adventures Dinosaur Planet.
All right.
I mean, we did a Patreon episode on it.
No, I know. Hey, it's a great game. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I guess I don't remember how you felt about it.
The tricky thing with the older consoles is...
Tricky like your sidekick dinosaur.
Is that his name? I don't remember.
That sounds right.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I hear GameCube and tricky, and I think SSX tricky. So
Tricky to the Rock.
yeah. The tricky thing with the older consoles is getting them to go into a capture card, which has to be HDMI, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
I assume there's got to be an adapter to go from, I don't know, composite cables to HDMI. I don't know. I'm not technical when it comes to that. I got to give a shout out to Nate Lucas. He actually loaned us his computer and his capture device, so we were able to do everything through there. That's how we did it. But it was a lot of fun. We had a good time. And you want to hear some of the stuff I played?
Of course.
Well, I decided it was actually the last thing I played at night. I decided to fire up Inside. Remember?
What an interesting streaming game.
Well, it was like I said, it was something like 4:00 in the morning. And we had like 2 people watching, and I'm pretty sure one of them was Nate with his with his stream just on. The other was probably you. I don't know. But I had downloaded it onto my Xbox before we set up because I was like, I haven't played that in a while, and I want to go back and revisit it. And so I did. First thing that happened when I started it up is I didn't realize it until I finished like this chapter, but I had opened the game on the final chapter of the game.
Oh,
and I'm like, oh, that thing happened.
Right, yeah.
This isn't supposed to happen yet. And I wanted to, so I had to go back to the chapter select and start at the beginning. And I forgot how ominous that game is. It's like the timing of things. Like there's sections where dogs chase you.
Oh, yeah.
And you have just enough time to climb up and all that. And it's pretty brutal, too. Like that kid gets mangled and shot and all this crazy stuff.
I mean, this is the Limbo people, after all. They're not afraid to kill a kid.
Right, but Limbo was so cartoony. It was gruesome, and Inside isn't necessarily like full motion video. It doesn't, but it looks more real than Limbo does. You know what I mean? And it's a little off putting, but I do plan to go back and finish that game because it's only like 3 or 4 hours or something like that.
So yeah, it's something short.
But here's the nice thing, and I've kind of had a bit of an epiphany playing this game. As I always do, anytime I pull up a game, I look up the achievement list to see like, hey, well, maybe there's something I can clean up here, right?
Sure.
Lo and behold, I have gotten all the achievements on this game.
Oh.
Previously.
Your past self just couldn't stop playing it, I guess.
Apparently. I don't even remember how difficult it was to get it. It might have been just like a couple hidden things or something. But so I started from the beginning, and dude, it was kind of liberating. Just going through and not having to be like, I wonder if there's a secret collectible over here. I wonder if there's something I'm supposed to be doing. I just got to sit and enjoy the game and turn my brain off.
You weren't
in terms of
held hostage by the achievements.
Yeah. I've been like hemming and hawing seriously for like 3 or 4 years to write an article about how achievements have ruined my video game experience. You know what I mean? Because they do. I mean, I'm to the point where I really don't care as much anymore. When a game comes out on all platforms, I'm seriously considering Switch or Steam Deck over Xbox, just because why not have a way to play it on the TV or play it portably? I can do both.
It's so interesting. The reason I picked, I'm going to talk about Star Wars Bounty Hunters in the title card. The reason I picked Switch was for that reason.
So you could just enjoy it, soak it in.
Because every Aspire like Star Wars game I've gotten so far, I've pretty much platinumed all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, for once, I don't want to have to be thinking about the platinum while I play this. That's why I picked Switch. Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, and like my achievement score does literally nothing, and this is things that people have been telling me for years, right? Like it's just gamer nerd cred, and
it's the pinballer in you, man. You got to get that high score.
It's more of a checklist.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Maybe the pinball too, because I like seeing that total number go up, but checklists are hard to resist. There's something really cool about seeing 1,000 out of 1,000. But anyway,
this might be a good topic to revisit.
We should revisit that. That would be a good idea. The game I played definitely the most, and I have no idea what got this in my head, but Skyforce Reloaded. I've talked about this in the past. And I swear I thought I owned it, but I went to look it up and I could not find it on my Xbox, in my library anywhere. So there was a double pack for Skyforce Reloaded and Skyforce Anniversary, and I have no idea what the difference is between the two, but I know I had played Skyforce Reloaded before, so I just bought the dual pack because I like this game so much, and I'll find out what the other one is. But Reloaded is basically, it's a vertical shmup, not a shmacross. It's a shmup.
Not a vertical? Or a schmagnal?
Yeah, it's a vertical, up and down.
Yeah.
I had to make sure I was saying the right one. But it's a rogue. You start out very, very wimpy, just one tiny little gun. And you know how in shmups you get the little power-ups on the screen and you're just like a reeking death, until you die, and then you start that level over again, all tiny again. So in this one, when you beat a stage, you earn all these like stars or whatever that you collect on the screen, and then you take them back to your hangar and upgrade your ship. You upgrade the guns, you upgrade the side guns, you upgrade the missiles, you upgrade your shield, and all this fun stuff. And it's just little by little by little by little, you were getting more and more efficient at taking out. So like the first level that you play, I struggled my first run because I couldn't do anything. Now that I am as far as I am that stage is like laughably easy now, which is hilarious. So there is something incredibly addicting about going through and just, I never get tired of it. I truly never get tired of it. But the nice thing about it is that game is like the enemy patterns are exactly the same every single time.
Oh, so you memorize it.
Right. You start to memorize it, and it's not just enemies. There's also like little human civilians that you have to rescue. And to rescue them, you have to hover your ship over them, and then a little meter goes, and then once the meter's full, then that thing is rescued. Then that guy's rescued. So it becomes when is the correct time to hover over that? Because there's like 4 objectives for each level as well to get you bonus points. So one is to get through the level without getting hit. One is to collect all of the humans. One is to kill every enemy on the screen. And one is to kill like 70% of the enemies on the screen. So, you got 4 little tiers. So it's like these little checklisty things. Here we go again.
Right.
You'll
never be free.
Well, in this case, it's the point of the game. It's not actually an achievement thing. And seriously, I've unlocked one achievement in this game, and I seriously played it for like 8 hours. At least 8 hours. So like the achievements are all like, beat this level on insane difficulty, which like there's, I'm nowhere near able to do that. I just,
Well, not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, growth mindset, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I played that for so much on Saturday and Sunday. I was exhausted, and all I wanted to do was sleep, and I did. But when I got up, all I wanted to do was play more Skyforce Reloaded. I am like, seriously, I love this game, man. I genuinely love this game.
You got the bug. I got to check this thing out. I'm not familiar with this. I'm sure you have talked about it, but it's not coming to mind.
I mean, it was years ago. I mean, it's had to have been at least 3 years ago when I played it. And for some reason, I thought about it the other day, and I couldn't even remember the name of it. And so I started Googling shmups on Xbox, which are shockingly limited. They're more on PlayStation and Switch.
It's just going to be like Ikaruga and Cinemora are like the only...
Those are the 2 big ones for sure. Yeah,
for sure, yeah.
So yeah, I had to do some digging to find it, and I finally found it, and then looked it up. It was like $16 for like the dual pack, and I've put more than $16 into that game at this point. So anyway, the game I really want to talk to you about, though, dude, as soon as this game goes on sale, I'm picking it up. It is called Boomerang Fu, and I know what you're thinking. What a ridiculous title!
Yes,
it is an absolutely ridiculous title, but I have not laughed so hard in months as I did playing this game. We had 6 people playing it at one time. And Boomerang Fu there's actually several different modes. The one we got to is, I'll get to in a second, but the core game is kind of like a battle royale, but it's an overhead view, slightly isometric, like kind of slightly at an angle, and just a random map. And each character plays a type of food. Like I was a piece of bacon. Kevin was sushi.
Are you bacon in the shape of a boomerang?
No. Each piece of food has a boomerang as a weapon.
Oh, sure. That makes sense. I should have known that.
Yeah. So the boomerang acts as your weapon, both a melee weapon and a ranged weapon. So you can slash with this boomerang, or you can throw it, but unless you hold down the Y button, and which forces your character to stand still, and then it comes back to you kind of like Thor's hammer. But if you don't do that, then you have no melee weapon at all, and all you do is you slap the other characters, which does absolutely nothing. So it's really just a last man standing kind of thing, with some other rules. But and that was fun. But the real fun of this thing is this bonus mode they've got on there called hide and seek, which everybody, it's 6 players on a screen, and the game it doesn't randomly select it. It does an order of the players, but it tells one person, close your eyes. And that person has to literally like either turn around or cover their eyes, not supposed to look at the screen. All of the other characters hide somewhere on the map, but they're not like hiding like normal hide and seek. Wherever you go to, your character turns into a piece of the environment. Like a bamboo stalk or a rock or a box or whatever.
They've is that Prop Hunt? Is that a big game
Prop
like
Hunt
this?
was a thing like I think, wasn't that in Call of Duty or something like that?
Or Half-Life or something?
Or that was like third person, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. This is just like over the head, over the top view. So then anyway, after, I don't know, 4 or 5 seconds, the buzzer goes off and the person, looks at the screen, and they now have a limited number of time, but more importantly, a limited number of attacks that they can try to attack things. So they get 3 or 4 seconds to look at the map and try like hell to memorize it in 3 or 4 seconds. So that when they come back, they see, oh, that tree wasn't there a second ago, so I know that's a person, right? But you never remember it. You just don't remember it.
You would need a like an Alyssa level skill at spot the difference.
Correct. And then that person has certain amount of time, but a limited number of swipes in order to get back into to kill as many of the other characters as they can. The thing is that the characters can also move while they're on screen, and you may ask yourself, why would you ever do that? The question is, you wouldn't ever want to do that, but sometimes sleep deprivation is a thing, or you set the controller down and bump it, and all of a sudden your little rock starts moving, and you're like, no, now he knows where I am. But then it's even funnier if that guy doesn't happen to see it because he's studying this somewhere else on the screen and just doesn't notice it. Or but then funny stuff just kept organically happening. Like there's one level that has like a giant croissant in the middle of the screen that just constantly turns, and somebody was trying to move and they ran out of time and landed right in the middle of that. So when whoever was came back, all of a sudden there's like a little rock or something in the middle getting spun around by this thing. So it was very obvious. And then he started to try to run away from him. God, dude, it was so. But then just more and more stuff like that kept organically happening. It became less of a I need to hide somewhere than less of that and more of I know who's winning or is about to win, and I want the person who's it to know where that other person is hiding, and I know where they're hiding, so I'm going to sabotage them and hang around them so that they don't win this round. And just stuff like that kept. Dude, we laughed so hard. Like my gut was seriously in so much pain from laughing. If you've got 5 friends, anybody out there, local friends, I don't even know if you can play this online. If you've got 5 friends and $15, do not pass up on Boomerang Fu. It is so much fun, and it's super simple to teach to somebody. It's not like it's a twitchy game. There is a twitchy mode, like I said, like the Battle Royale style or whatever, which is super fun. But this hide and seek mode is a ton of fun, and I can't recommend it enough.
Sure, I mean it's pretty easy to teach someone hide and seek, I would hope. So it
right,
seems like an easy game to learn.
Right, exactly. So yeah, that was the highlight, definitely the highlight. And again, the lack of sleep was probably an issue. Made us a little loopier and laugh at stuff that probably wasn't.
It's probably a benefit, not a detriment.
Yeah, that, and because we were in an arcade, we kept hearing the same game loop of one of the arcade machines next to us.
How do you not just go over there and unplug it?
Well, we actually closed the door and it helped a little bit. And headphones are a thing, but man, I got so tired. And one of them was like the noise that Donkey Kong would like that when you die in Donkey Kong, the like that noise.
Of course, yeah.
But the first part of that sound was elongated, so it was seriously like 10 or 12 seconds, and then it finally did that, and I was like, ugh. Anyway, so those are the games that I've been catching up on. That's about it. I played a ton of other stuff at Extra Life, but those are the standouts. What about you, sir?
Say Extra Life was most of your gaming for the week?
Yeah, that's pretty much all I've had a chance to do.
Well, as for me, I finally beat Hellboy, Web of Word.
Nice.
The Hellboy. I ended up really liking it by the end. There's definitely some frustrating things about it. Such as like the limited, combinations of skills and stuff I was talking about. But by the end, I beat it, and then I still went for a few post-game runs. So obviously, I liked something about it. And this, I will say, talking about achievements, the platinum in this game, 0.2% of people have the platinum in this game.
Wow. Are you one of them?
No.
Okay.
No. There is I did get 2 trophies that only 0.6% of people had, and I felt pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Involving some post game stuff. But to get the platinum, you have to find all of these lore items, but it's totally RNG dependent.
Oh.
So you just have to hope that your run will provide them, and you have to find these like obscure objects to make the lore item pop, essentially. But you're not even guaranteed one per run.
Boy, this sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating. I looked it up on YouTube. There was a guy who did a platinum guide. So I actually messaged him. I was like, how long did it take you to get the platinum? And he's like, well, I beat the game in probably like 13 hours. But to get all the Lord trophies took about 32 extra hours after that.
My God.
I was like, dude, that's
just RNG stuff.
Yeah, totally not worth it. Not skill dependent, just, yeah.
So why is it too much work to go after the platinum on this game, but in Nier, it's perfectly fine to spend all that time on that RNG?
Well, there's a different investment level, but also, Scott, I'll counter with, I didn't get the platinum on Nier Replicant.
On Replicant, but was there trophies on PS3? I don't even remember.
Well, yeah, PS3 one was a different. It was a different time. This PS4 one, I did not do it. It's never fun doing the RNG trophies.
No. I got better things to do. Anyway, Hellboy Web of Word beaten. Beat anything else this week?
It's done. Dusted off. Moving on. But I also beat Gestalt, Steven Cinder, which I talked about starting last week.
Yes.
Nice little short game. I did like it. I wish I had liked it a little bit more, I suppose.
Yeah.
It was just a little. The action was nice and simple. It is unusual to finish a Gear Gated game where I didn't feel like I was really trying to explore a lot, and then they told me I saw 96% of the map.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So it's just kind of
you're a little more thorough than someone like me, though. Remember when we played Prince of Persia?
Right. Well, I cared about searching out every nook and cranny of Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
I got that platinum. But
I did not.
But I don't know. It felt kind of like a first effort game.
Okay.
And I hope that doesn't come across insulting. It's just you can tell that this developer's getting warmed up. That's all.
There you go.
But
and on the bright side, you have so many other Gear Gated games available right now. They're just like every other week. There's another one coming out.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. And it ends on a pretty sizable cliffhanger, I guess I would say.
Oh, so you're gonna get more.
So I hope there's a sequel, because I really like the characters a lot. Yeah, all the way through to the end. There was just a lot of the cast to like. I don't care so much about the lore or whatever, but I definitely would like to see more of these characters for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But then I had wrapped those bad boys up. So I've had this game sitting on my PlayStation for a while called Trigger Witch.
I've heard of this one. Is this a twin stick shooter?
So it is, just think of Zelda, but the combat is twin stick shooting.
Okay. So just like that mini shoot adventures game I played.
That's exactly what I was thinking of when I was playing it.
All right.
I was thinking about that comparison. But this is, you play as, it's a village of witches, a coven of witches, if you will, but they've come to worship guns instead of magic.
Oh.
The way of ballisticism, as they call it. And all of the proper nouns are like fun gun puns, like the leader is called the Grand Receiver. You're a member of the Clip, is the organization you're a member
Nice.
of. Just a lot of fun gun puns. But the structure of the game, first of all, it's just very charming.
Mhm.
The way they go so heavy on this ridiculous gun angle. But the structure of the game is just straight up Zelda. I'm fighting these 3 artifacts to access, a
Sounds familiar.
different area, and then going off the trophies, it looks like there's a few more dungeons, almost like there's, a second half a la Zelda. But it is this classic top-down Zelda dungeon design. You're going in there, you're solving puzzles. Each dungeon so far has had its own hook, which is always appreciated. Like, one of them was in the mine, so all of the walls are crystallized, so bullets reflect off of there, and you use that for different puzzles throughout the dungeon.
Sounds great.
Yeah, and every dungeon you're getting a new weapon is your item of the dungeon, as it were. Like one of them's a flamethrower, so it helps you get through ice walls and stuff like that. It's just it is absolutely a clever little indie gem. I'm really liking it a lot.
I am looking at the trailer right now, and I need to get this game immediately.
Yeah, I can't help but think of you the whole time I'm playing it, just because it is just so classic Zelda in its design, and it did make you think of that mini shoot adventures you were talking about, because it is like this fast paced kind of frenetic twin stick shooting, and it's just I like it's just got a lot of clever design, like the health potion system. You basically earn back a heal by doing enough kills, so you're even if you're on low health, if you don't have a heal available, you kind of gotta throw yourself in the fray. You can't really save back too much.
You got a chance. It forces you to be aggressive.
Yes, yeah, it keeps you in the fight, and the way it reloads is, say you're using your dual Uzis, right, and you run out of
As a witch does,
as a witch would, obviously, but you run out of ammo, it automatically switches you to your hand cannon, and you can use that while your bullets are magically reloading in your other gun, and it just kind of keeps you alternating between your weapons a little bit.
This sounds amazing. It's only $15.
Yeah, dude, I'm really enjoying it a lot more than
I really hope you give Mini Shoot Adventures a shot at some point.
Oh, I will. Yeah, definitely.
Because I think that game is something special, and it seems along the vein of this, which you're enjoying, so it makes sense.
Yeah, the idea of playing a spaceship is less exciting than a witch with a gun.
No, you're right, but there's something so slick about the way Mini Shoot Adventures. It's more bullet hell than what I saw in the trailer.
Yeah,
like it looked more like a dungeon crawler type of thing.
I'm sure.
And I'm not usually a bullet hell kind of guy, but for whatever reason, it clicked with Mini Shoot Adventures. So.
Well, I'm glad I will check out Mini Shoot on your recommendation. I just been sitting on Trigger Witch for, I think about it like 2 years ago on a sale, so I just finally got around to it. It was a perfect slot in between releases.
Yeah,
to squeeze
I'm
it
gonna
in.
keep an eye out for a sale on that one as well, because I got plenty to play right now. But,
there's no rush in this world. But I don't know, man. The writing is just fun. Like we gave up our broomsticks so we could pick up our boomsticks.
Yes.
Hell yeah, dude. That's what I'm talking about.
That's great.
But speaking of boomsticks, inspired by you, Scott, I got Gun going on my Steam Deck.
Did you?
Oh yeah, man. And what's funny about Gun is you can put 3 or 4 hours into it, and according to your completion stat, be almost done with it. But but it's just such a short game. But Gun, dude, this game kicks ass,
doesn't it?
Right? Like, it just hasn't aged. It feels a little wonky on the deck because it's like converting WASD to the joystick.
Yeah.
So you're only moving in 8 directions, even when you're spinning it in 360. I don't know. It's just something to get used to, is my point.
I seriously thought about picking it up on Xbox before the 360 marketplace went down.
Right before it was slaughtered in the night.
But it was like $10, and I was like, it's kind of funny that I'm like balking at a $10 game that I really like, that I now can never get on Xbox again, which is redonkulous. But,
yes,
well, I guess I could get the disc, but
no, it's redonkulous.
Yeah. Glad you're digging it, man.
Dude, yeah, it's just fun. The story just goes. I thought of you when you get deputized and you go out on one little mission and they're like, we played you like a fiddle. And I'm like, I don't even know your names. It just doesn't seem, it's pretty funny. But yeah, all the voice talent as well. You know, I got Thomas Jane, Chris Christopherson, Brad Dourif, Lance Henriksen. Dude, I don't know. It just felt like walking right back into it, you know, having played it many, many, many times in the original Xbox. So many times, the fact that I keep hitting the wrong button to do quick draw because it was Y on the original Xbox, and I keep pressing that, and it's just messing me up.
And it's frustrating because when they teach you how to play it, they're like, press the letter S or whatever.
Right, you're giving you keyboard controls.
Yeah.
It's just not kind to controller support whatsoever.
If anybody comes across a physical copy of that game on Xbox 360, please let me know, because every time I go into a retro game store, they never have it. And I would really like to have a physical copy of that game.
Yeah, I do feel like I find Xbox and PS2 copies all the time.
Do you? I always find original Xbox.
Yeah, so I'm saying original Xbox and PS2.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But 360, yeah, must be harder to come by.
I mean, I could go to eBay, I suppose, but
where's the fun in that?
Well, especially now that the marketplace is gone, I'll bet you this. I don't know. Those probably jumped up a little bit, but
yeah, but I definitely booted up Gun with just the intention of getting a little warm nostalgia tickle. But I'm definitely gonna play this all the way through. It's just so good.
I will say I got really frustrated with the horse racing training, where you got to race him around the.
During the tutorial.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, that was dumb. Well, it took me like 4 or 5 tries to get that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you keep murdering your horse on accident?
No. It was all about like you really have to come out the gate ahead of him and then work on staying ahead of him, as opposed to trying to like catch up, because you'll never catch up to him. I tried to do like the shortcut thing, and then it caught me for cheating.
Oh, I was gonna say it's one of those rare races of a video game where it actually is a challenge.
Right. Usually it's just like whatever. But
usually you're so far ahead of the pack.
Yeah,
dude. I don't know. Expect to hear more about Gun. There's so many you can like mine for gold for no reason, for like $10 or whatever. It's just
dude, I did that every time when I played it. I did everything I could in that game.
Yeah,
and it wasn't that long. It was like a really easy 1,000.
Well, say it's like you can 100% the game in like 10 or 12 hours.
Yeah,
it's just
which is great.
I'm doing all the bounties, all the the Marshall missions where you're setting up those little TNT defense perimeters.
Mm-hmm.
Which dude, it's just and then the main storyline, it feels like every mission is pretty different.
Right.
And it's trying to hit the checklist of every Western trope it can in one video game as quickly as it can.
I feel like nobody talked about that game when it came out, though. I feel like I was in the minority of people that enjoyed it and talked about it.
Well, I was playing the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Much of that. But and it's just great. Neversoft just made this whole open world, like the first open world Western game in between Tony Hawk games.
Right.
Great. Or rather alongside Tony Hawk and Guitar Hero. They were on fire in the 2000s.
For sure.
Anyway, that's
I'm glad you're digging it, man.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, that's what we've been catching up on. Let's go ahead now and jump into the week's news. Just a couple trailers to talk about. Deviator is a game that's coming to Steam August 2nd. We finally got a full-on trailer for Shadow of the Damned Hella Remake.
You must be so stoked.
What they called it, Hella Remake.
Hella Remake.
Did you watch the trailer for this remake?
Yes, it was like every half second was a new credit on the screen.
I did not like this trailer, man.
Yeah, I don't think it did it any favor. I appreciated the silly credits they came up with.
Yeah,
but it was not a great trailer.
I mean, the game is already weird, so I guess it kind of fits.
Yeah, but don't they want to sell this?
I don't feel like that trailer did a good job of selling it.
I feel like that trailer is only good for the people that already know what Shadows of the Damned is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it worked for me because I am definitely going to get this on October 31st. It comes to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. Also, there's this game. This is not a new trailer by any means, but I just discovered this trailer or discovered this game on another podcast I was listening to. The game is called Bow, Path of the Teal Lotus. That it's a gear-gated game. But there is a guy on a podcast that I listen to frequently that said that he actually liked this better than Prince of Persia. For the sheer fact.
Those are some fighting words.
He said simply because this game did things differently. Like mechanically, what this game does, it's not your standard 2D gear gated game.
All right,
he said, and that kind of intrigued me.
Well,
so
yeah, because you're an aficionado of the genre.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
I will. I'll give it to you.
No, I've barely scratched the surface with how many games in that genre there are.
That's not a fair metric. There's, like you said, there's 1,000 of them released every month.
Right. It's nuts. Anyway, in other news, the SAG-AFTRA video game actors officially went on strike this past week, and we got some fun news regarding Harry Potter video games. That was pretty much all I could find, except for, I guess we could mention also that the developers for WoW unionized as well.
Yeah, there you go.
Kind of added to what happened last week. But where do you want to start, man?
Little domino effect. Well, we got the SAG-AFTRA going on strike again, man.
Well, to be clear, they didn't go on strike yet. From what I read, they got it approved to go on strike back in September, but they hadn't actually pulled the trigger yet on doing it.
I remember that approval.
Right, it was just an approval.
I assumed they had done I thought that the threat of it, I guess, was enough for people to be like, okay, but I guess they've just been waiting to pull the trigger, like you said.
Yes, and so that was a complete misunderstanding on my part. I thought, oh, they've been on strike this whole time. I would have thought we would have heard more about it since then, but
yeah,
it just kind of went away.
I didn't think they were on strike because I just assumed it had resolved quietly in the background, but I guess.
Right.
I guess they were probably waiting for more AI evidence to come up or something. Because that's definitely the main issue of the strike.
For sure.
Is that
sure. And rightly so, although I kind of want to have a discussion about AI, but why don't you go ahead and tell the story here.
Right. Oh, and that's what it's about. It sounds like developers and publishers are not being kind about AI, which is not surprising. Of course, the big publishers are going to do whatever they can. The actors claim the developers are arbitrarily deciding who is considered a performer and who is just data. That seems so inhuman.
I have questions, but go ahead.
Okay. Majority of games are affected, but not all of them, including some that have started production prior to September 2023. I know GTA 6 is a big one that they're allowing people to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Games that have gone gold obviously aren't going to be affected, though those productions will be. So I guess, let's hope Last of Us Part 3 doesn't need Troy Baker anytime soon. That means that there will be some time before we see delays, but they will more than likely take place. The union isn't asking gamers to stop playing, which is important. They said, "We are not asking you to stop playing video games. In fact, the opposite. Please continue doing what you love, and any support and solidarity would be extremely appreciated." Yeah,
this was a cool, classy move.
No doubt. I'm going to blame the finals for this.
The finals?
Because that game openly uses AI voices.
I've not heard of it.
I would say it's a free-to-play first-person shooter, but it's supposed to be set in a game show with live announcements, and they had voice actors come in and do part of it, but the rest of it is done by AI.
That's where my question comes in, because again, this about whether they're considered a performer or data bothers me, because number one, do they have permission to do that? You know what I mean? Where they come in and record a line, are they signing something that says, yes, you can use my likeness?
Well, I don't know, because there aren't any laws on the book for AI. I'm saying what you're saying about the contract is one thing, but there's nothing that's legally preventing Activision from taking the voice actor of Captain Price from 3 games ago and just AI morphing it into a new Captain Price, right?
But what's interesting, James Earl Jones gave permission for people to do that,
right?
And there's somebody else that I read or heard about that they had given. Oh, I think it was Al Michaels for the football announcer.
Oh, the Oswald the Rabbit guy.
Oswald the Rabbit?
She got traded for the Oswald the Rabbit's rights, right?
I have no idea what that
for Epic Mickey. When Epic Mickey was coming out, Disney didn't have the rights to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, so they wanted to get the rights for him for that video game specifically, but they had to trade a real life sports broadcaster.
Oh yes, I remember that now.
That was Al Michaels, right?
That sounds right. I wouldn't quote me on it because I remember that story now.
I thought it was him, but whoever it was had a hilarious quote where they're like, "How do you feel about getting traded as a human being for an intellectual property?" And he's like, "I look forward to being a Jeopardy answer one day."
Yeah, right. But I mean, those people had to sign out to give permission to do that,
right?
And so, if I'm understanding correctly, these developers are just taking that voice either bearing something in a contract, or since there's no law against it, they're just go ahead and using that voice, which 100% is wrong. I have no problem with that. Where I have questions is if you're paying, if you pay that person for that likeness, I'm torn on how I feel about that, because as long as the actor is getting paid, fine. But I would rather have the actual person doing it, because even though it sounds very similar to the original person in a lot of cases, you can tell sometimes.
Definitely, yeah.
And how would a voice actor feel? I don't know, because I'm not one. I would like to be one, but how would that actor?
You want to be careful about how you're talking, then,
right? Yeah. Let's start using a different voice on this podcast. I can see if they start using it. How would I feel hearing my own voice saying words that I never said? That's where the slippery slope comes in, because if you can have AI say, some voice actors prefer not to use any vulgarity in games, for instance.
Right.
And if they start using AI to have your characters voiced by you cursing like a sailor, or saying things that are controversial, or getting you canceled, you know what I mean? Like that, that becomes an issue. So I don't know. How do you feel like if a voice actor, their voice is used with their permission and they're getting paid for it? Is that okay?
Well, yeah. If everything's above board, right? But I would. It's tough to feel okay about it while the technology is still developing, I guess.
Yeah.
And I question the voice actor who's okay with it already.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. But my major concern is how much are they getting strong-armed into allowing that to happen, because there's no protections in place from their union or legally or anything, where it's just a case, of like, if you don't sign this contract, you're not going to get the job. Like, it's non-negotiable that you have to let us use your voice as AI, even though we're not going to tell you how to use it.
Or you don't get the part.
Or you don't get the job, yeah.
But, on the same token, do we get upset in Hollywood when someone stars in a movie and they sell their likeness for action figures, or for that, for that character to be in a video game so the character looks like them? You know what I mean? They get paid for that.
Yeah.
And it's not AI generated, but they're still getting paid for what they look like, in this case, what they sound like, to be portrayed in another property.
You would guess usually when you sell it for an action figure, like say you're Tamura Morrison selling your likeness for a Jango Fett action figure, you know it is for a Jango Fett action figure or action figures relating to that character.
Right.
Whereas this AI thing is like, they could use it for whatever the hell they want. Or they could do DLC and not include you. They don't have to pay you again, anything like that, and they could just make a ton of money off of your character doing something. I don't know what. Yeah.
Well, that's where the lawyers get involved and make sure that, that person is protected with the contract they sign.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, anytime you use my voice or anytime you generate AI thing, I get paid for it. But then it's going to become a slippery slope, like you said, about, do people get hired, or are they turned down for these jobs because they refuse to be a part of that?
Right. It feels like you're signing your own death warrant.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Of like, yeah, okay, yeah, you guys can use it for, DLC for this game on the condition that I come back for the next game or something like that. Some kind of contract like that. And you come back for the next game, but then like, yeah, we're not going to re-up. We don't need you for the third game now. We've got all this stuff correlated, all your data correlated.
Right.
We don't ever need you for this character again. And you kind of screwed yourself out of future work by taking the first work, I guess.
Right. Unless there's residuals.
Yeah, which we know are not really a thing in the games industry.
Well, right now they're not.
Yeah.
It could be. And that's where my questions come in. And to be clear, I'm not advocating for AI. So even though what I'm going to say sounds like I'm defending it, I'm really not. For instance, my wife's been watching the Olympics, and there's a commercial that plays during the Olympics, like every other commercial cycle, for, I can't remember which software it is, but it is saying, boy, this AI software is great. It helped my daughter write a letter to her hero, her sports hero, to ask her how to be a great athlete or something like that. And I'm like, is that what people really want? They want their kid to have a AI generated letter that's not actually their words.
Right.
And we're championing this, right? That just sounds like such a problem.
Don't you think, like, if you received a fan letter that was composed by AI, wouldn't it be a little immediately less endearing?
I mean, how would you know? I mean,
yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, I you know, but it's almost like you almost have to assume it at this point. You know what I mean?
It's getting there quick, yeah.
Right.
It'd probably help if the people who make laws weren't the average age of 70.
Right.
That
too.
It probably would help regulate some of the stuff.
There is some positives though. That's the thing. Is like I feel like AI is a dirty word in our world now. But I would argue that there are some positives. As an example, I used to use this software in my old job, called GoFormative. It was something that I used to create assessments for my students. I would write in questions and I could do multiple choice or true false or matching or short answer, all this kind of good stuff. It made it so much easier to grade. Really liked it. And they added somewhat recently in GoFormative an AI tool, where you can just punch in there and say, give me a fourth grade standard, this standard, give me a reading sample at this grade level that covers comprehension that's based on this. And we'll actually go find a sample of something on the internet. It will generate questions with correct answers, and boom, it's done. I don't have a problem with that. That makes my life a lot easier, because most of the time I'm not writing these questions myself anyway. But if I need a quick quiz for something for my students and I can just do that and I don't have to grade it, that makes things a lot easier. I'm not claiming anything that I'm writing anything. I'm not getting paid for this AI software doing that for me. I'm not getting paid any extra. I'm still getting paid as a teacher. You know what I mean? But if it makes you look like you're still judging me.
Well, no, I was trying to decipher, like, is that AI or is that just a tool? That they're marketing as AI. But I
mean, it's picking it up off the internet. It's not like it's going from their database. It's going.
I guess that's true. Yeah. So.
And searching through wherever to find a passage that meets the standards for that grade level, and then actually coming up with legit comprehension questions with multiple choice or whatever.
I guess my look of concern you were addressing is just like, that's how it starts, right? With convenience.
Right. Yeah, but convenience.
Because then as a teacher, how could you possibly get upset at a student for using AI to write their paper? Because you're using AI for what you're doing, right?
Right, but I'm not being tested on my ability to write assessments. I'm being tested on my ability to teach the assessments. That this would just be assessing them on how well they understood what is taught to them. You know what I mean? I am all against having AI write a paper for you, and that's just going to be a thing.
But for
right?
now, right? I was going to say, 2 years from now, that'll be like a calculator. I'm sure they used to think calculators were cheating.
Yeah. I mean, because remember the old adage, what do you think, you're going to have a calculator in your pocket all the time when you get older?
I do remember hearing that, yeah.
Yeah, guess what? I do have a calculator in my pocket all the time.
Or do you remember, like, well, you wouldn't because you're a little bit older than me, but like I remember being taught how to balance a checkbook in ninth grade, and like thinking, I'm like, you can already bank online. This is redundant. This is unnecessary thing. Like as I'm being taught it, I'm just like, well, these people are out of touch. And I'm sure that kids are going to think that way about you, having them write a paper.
Yeah, but like the argument there is like it's not.
No, I agree.
It's still an important skill to know how to write.
Writing,
or is it?
Writing is one of the humanities, I would argue. I think it is essential to the human condition.
Yeah.
But we're going to be less concerned, I guess, with what humanity means.
Well, we're getting off on
that's true. Yeah,
AI tangent
here. Yeah.
I'm gonna bring up this other story about some fun news regarding Harry Potter. So we got one that is for certain and one that is pretty certain, but it's not been announced. The first is Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. This game is developed by Unbroken Studios. I think we knew this was happening, right? Or we thought this was going to be like a
Yeah, announced a few months ago. Yeah, and
they actually.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, and because I remember the big announcement was that it's going to be on PlayStation Plus that month, like Rocket League was when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Like just included with your subscription. So that's save you $30 if you have PlayStation Plus, and it's a guaranteed way for them to get just a ton of players right away.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing is, they didn't need to do that. Like, I feel like so many people are going to play this. But anyway, they actually showed gameplay in this trailer. It includes a single-player career mode and an online competitive mode. And we saw, familiar characters like Harry, Ron, Draco, Hermione. Here's the weird thing, though. They're releasing this game digitally on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC via the Epic Game Store on September 3rd. But if you were a physical guy, you have to wait for a physical version, a deluxe version, that's not going to release until November 8th. More than a month later than the digital version. And then there is a Switch version coming as well, but all they are saying is this holiday season, which is interesting. Also, it looks like a sequel to Hogwarts Legacy may also be in the works. Avalanche Software may be already working on the sequel. Some newly emerged job listings suggest the company's next project will be an open-world action RPG with magic-based combat. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
So, yeah. It just seems pretty obvious that that's going to happen. I can't remember how much of Hogwarts Legacy you played. I played probably like 2 or 3 hours of it.
Oh, I beat it.
Oh, you did? And so you would like another?
Yeah, I would take some more. It started to wear out its welcome in the first game, so I hope it should find someone. And it's disappointing to realize that they will probably never include Quidditch in a Hogwarts Legacy game.
Well, yeah, now that this is here.
Yeah, but no, because there were just obvious ways you could improve it, like actually getting more in depth with the classroom stuff, a la Bully or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Would be nice instead of it just being a cutscene of your character looking at a plant. There's definitely ways to improve. So yeah, I'm definitely on board for Hogwarts Legacy sequel. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed Hogwarts Legacy, as I don't usually get down for those kind of checklist games.
I was gonna say, wasn't there like a ton of stuff to do in that game? Like,
yeah,
overwhelming.
There's also just a novelty of like, this is the first Harry Potter game like this.
Mm-hmm. So it's fun to explore anyway.
Right. It's just it's a cool setting, a cool world.
Yeah.
My partner is obsessed with it, so I feel like it's just kind of indoctrinated into the household.
Did you play it like side by side with your partner? Like, did you just pass the controller? Or?
It was the first video game she ever played, and she did everything. So,
first video game she ever played?
Ever serious. Like, she had a DS growing up.
Uh-huh.
So this is like the first game with camera control she's ever played. Because I had to teach her how to use dual sticks.
Oh, wow. How quickly did she acclimate?
Pretty well. First of all, I just want to let you know, I set it to inverted in the options for you. Handed it off.
Did
to
you?
Her. Yeah.
Just by default. So you like give her the option.
Absolutely not. I didn't care what felt natural. She was learning the right way.
There you go.
But it took her a while.
Yeah.
We take that skill for granted.
I think we do too.
I think it's so complicated for people to learn the first time.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I did mouse and keyboard, I was like, what am I doing? Like, it just did not make sense. And there was something else. Oh, I recently was playing something that didn't invert. I was playing a multiplayer game. Maybe it was at Extra Life.
Whoa.
We were playing something that like you didn't have the option to invert. Oh, we were playing GoldenEye, like on Xbox, the N64 one. We were playing multiplayer, and that game does not let you invert the camera, and I did not remember that.
Oh,
and it was so frustrating. So I kind of get it. Anyway,
that we're off topic again. The Quidditch Champions, I'm very excited for. I think that I played was a Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup back on the Xbox and PS2. I used to play that.
I think it was on too.
Yeah, so I like Quidditch a lot. So I'm way on board for this. Especially it's going to be included in my PlayStation Plus subscription. Awesome. The physical delay thing sucks. More and more games are doing that though, which is frustrating. Like I know that game, Conscript, the World War I shooter, the horror game. Like that has a physical copy coming in like September, but the
game's out now.
But it just came out now, yeah. Which is it's just. I assume they do that because you could probably double dip impatient people for one thing, and two, you want to force people to digital so they make a higher profit margin. Yeah. But for Quidditch Champions in particular, it's probably really smart because November 8th is pretty close to Christmas.
True. Yeah, so doing it like right there, September, get the digital ones out of the way, and then people that want to have something on the tree.
Yep.
That totally makes sense.
I mean,
if college football 25 taught us anything, or 20 24, people are willing to pay $30 extra to have a game 3 days early.
That's $10 a day. When I keep seeing that, maybe we should. I think we talked. Did we talk about this last week?
We mentioned it, but we didn't go into depth at all.
So yeah, so it was like over 2 million people, right? Paid the $30. So I can't take the argument of like this game isn't long enough to validate my $70 seriously when people are spending $10 a day to play a video game.
Right.
Like it seems like you don't really. I'm not convinced you care that much about your money after all.
Like I wonder what prices to rent games would be in today's market if you could still go to the store and physically rent a video game. But I feel like it was like $6 or $7 for 5 days.
Yes. But these people are paying $10 a day to play a video game.
It's kind of nuts.
It's outrageous.
But I have a feeling that game is going to do well. I just wonder...
Which game?
If it's Quidditch Champions.
Oh, yes, okay.
I wonder... I mean, I saw some of the gameplay, and I know that the Harry Potter people are going to be all about it, but is it going to be something they're going to play continuously? Because, that's not a adventure game where you just go and play whatever you want. That is an online game. And I wonder if the online community is going to latch onto this when there's so much other things to play.
Right, so maybe that's why they included it in PlayStation Plus.
Right. I mean, Rocket League, like you mentioned earlier, I feel like was very easy to wrap your head around.
Yes.
It was drive a car into a ball into the goal. If you asked me to explain Quidditch, I would probably get it wrong. And that thing's been out for 25 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The 3 hoops.
I feel like the success of the game largely comes down to how easy are they going to make the Seeker's job.
Yeah, that's game over.
Right, because if you get the snitch in a minute, then that's the only person who's really matters on the field, right?
That's been my argument for that. For
the books give you a bunch of examples of when it didn't matter.
Isn't it one that lasts like 5 days or something like that?
Yeah. So it depends. It really depends on how they balance that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, because it's going to be hard to have the breakaway lead where if the opponent catches the snitch, it won't matter.
And who's not going to want to be the snitch?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, who wants to be the beater? You're just like...
Or the seeker, yeah.
Well, no. Well, yeah, the seeker's the snitch person, but like with the beaters where you're just bouncing away the angry balls.
Yeah, like the defender.
That doesn't sound like a lot of fun in a multiplayer game.
No.
Yeah.
No. I think they're going to have to change up the rules of Quidditch in some way, but who knows?
Well, I guess, you could just do an easy fix by just saying, oh, this is actually a prequel back when the snitch was only worth 50 points before they changed the rules. Yeah, you could probably get around with it.
Well, they could do that because Hogwarts Legacy took place like way before Harry Potter's time, right?
That's true, yeah. Right.
So they could do that. This is the adjusted rules or something. But
yeah.
But anyway, my point was, like with Rocket League, that game was very simple to wrap your head around. But now you're going to a game that is flying in 3 dimensions.
Right, that's true.
You know what I mean? And like you were talking, your partner, struggled with a camera. So if someone that's a huge Harry Potter fan wants to play Quidditch, they're going to have to learn that. And that's a big step.
Well, if the sales of Hogwarts Legacy are any indication, the Harry Potter fans will fight through.
Yeah,
any struggle to get more of that world. Yeah, and did you see, while we're talking Harry Potter game rumors, you see Rocksteady is supposedly working on a Hogwarts Legacy director's cut version?
No.
Which I believe, because they need something to do.
What would be a director's cut? Wasn't there like a whole bunch of stuff in that, or is it just including all the DLC or whatever?
I was gonna say, I would assume it's like, it has an extra quest or something like that. You know how like JRPGs do that a lot? Like Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal kind of thing?
Didn't they do a thing with Hogwarts Legacy where some of the content was locked behind platforms? Like you'd only play this house's
I think there's a
bonus level on PlayStation or something.
Yeah, so I guess you could include all that stuff.
Yeah,
I was just saying, while we're just talking rumor world.
Well, it'll sell.
That's of course.
Yeah,
and Rocksteady, like I said, Suicide Squad's not keeping them busy.
No. Although I keep seeing posts that people are saying this game is not as bad as people are saying it, but I haven't played it.
Well, that happens every time a game is bad. Right? Yeah. It's just, some people have to come along and be like, it's not that bad. Or they're like, yeah, it's good. I'm like, good is fine enough when you're not paying $70 and being sold a battle pass. When you're coming to it months later, you pay $10 for it on sale. And you're going to have a different reaction to it.
Sure. Well, that is the week's Mint News. I want to remind everybody very quickly that you can, if you would like, and be so gracious to do so, you can support the Gaming Outsider at our Patreon, patreon.com/thegocast. We've got several tiers available. At the $1 tier, you can get the episode a day earlier than everybody else. At the $3 tier, you get a bonus episode. And at the $5 tier, you get 2 bonus episodes. We really would appreciate the support. We actually have a new patron, Brandon Lapani. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. And also Mike Card decided to contribute to the Patreon as well. And speaking of Mike Card, he is the guest on our latest Patreon episode. We did a Desert Island episode with him while we were in Portland. We actually sat around his table in his house and recorded, and that's available for you right now. And you can also still listen to our Peace of Mind episode that Zach, Alyssa, and myself did for that was June's Peace of Mind. So, but if any of that sounds interesting, and by the way, you sign up for a $3 tier today, you get access to all of our past $3 tier contents. We've got the Legacy episodes, we've got Spoiler Cast, we've got Peace of Mind, we've got Desert Island. You don't get access to just the new stuff. And there's a link on our website, and I put it in the show notes for you, that where we've cataloged that for you. So you can just kind of go through and pick and choose which ones you want to, because the Patreon app is a little crazy to navigate and try to find things. So we made it a lot simpler for you. So again, if you'd be willing to support us, check us out at patreon.com/thegocast. And now, let's go ahead and jump into the new games that we've been playing. All right, Zach, what's on the list this week for games coming out?
For a game that I believe Alyssa reviewed for us not too long ago, The Mortuary Assistant comes to consoles, but except the Switch, of course, on August 2nd. It's coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, and Xbox One. Emotional narrative adventure game Closer the Distance comes to PS5 and Xbox Series consoles, as well as PC August 2nd.
That game looks like it's just going to make me cry, like the entire...
Yes, it seems like you only buy it if you're looking for a cry.
Seriously.
Pepper Grinder. It was a big hit platformer early this year. That comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, and Xbox One August 6th. Volgar the Viking 2 comes to all consoles and PC August 2nd. You can interact with some cuddly little monsters with
August 6th.
I'm sorry, August 6th, yeah. Boy. See, I'm learning with this new schedule we got here how to read again. Cuddle up with some wild monsters in Creatures of Ava, coming to Xbox Series consoles and PC August 7th. Cat Quest 3, answering those questions you had from Cat Quest 1 and 2, coming to all consoles and PC August 8th. Deathbound bills itself as the first party-based Souls-like, coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC August 8th. And then SteamWorld Heist 2 is coming to all consoles and PC August 8th. Scott, save me from my inability to read and tell me which game you're excited for from this list here.
I mean, you should know already that Volgar the Viking 2.
Yeah, I had a suspicion.
Pepper Grinder was great. I kind of wish I had... I mean, I played it on Switch. I was happy with it, but it would have been cool to get some achievement points. But I don't think I'm going to bite the bullet and get it again. Cat Quest 3, you joked about it and all this, but I have heard a lot of good things about that game.
Oh, yeah?
Like, I've heard a lot of people on podcasts speak very positively about that game.
For the record, it looks fun. I feel like I missed Cat Quest 1 and 2 entirely.
I didn't even remember there being a Cat Quest 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Like, I just somehow missed that. But yeah, Volgar the Viking for sure. I don't know with SteamWorld Heist 2. I can't decide if I want to play that or not, because on one hand it looks like a gear-gated game, or like a 2D shooter with like the angle where you're using the angles of bullets to kill your enemies and stuff. I'm just so not invested in the lore of SteamWorld.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I love SteamWorld Dig and SteamWorld Dig 2. Just absolutely adored those games, but I couldn't tell you anything that was going on with the story of those games. I just played them because they were fun.
Yeah, I think they're fun little stories, but nothing. You're not supposed to take them very seriously. But I played SteamWorld Dig and SteamWorld Heist 1 early this year, and I'm definitely excited for Heist 2, but I kind of want to get through the other ones first. Especially Dig. I got to play Dig 2 based on your recommendation.
Dig 2 is like expanded on 1 in really awesome ways.
Yeah, and I did like Heist a lot. It's a turn-based kind of strategy game, but like you said, he has that kind of ricochet aiming.
Yeah.
It really reminds me of Worms a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so, yeah, on this list, SteamWorld Heist 2 is definitely the one I'm most interested in.
Okay. Well, with that, let's go ahead and move on to the games you've been playing. You already mentioned it a little bit ago. Star Wars Bounty Hunter, which is getting another remaster.
Right. Second remaster on PS4 specifically, yeah.
So you were playing this for like what, the third or fourth on the third or fourth console at this point.
Yeah, I guess this is my third time playing it. Yeah, because I played on PS2, I played the PS4 re-release, and now I'm playing this new re-release on Switch.
And I've never played it for more than someone passed me the controller one time and I just played around with it a little bit. So you really got to kind of tell me what this game is. Third person Boba Fett adventure.
Well, I wish it was Boba Fett. But this is
not Boba Fett?
This is Jango Fett.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because remember, this released alongside Attack of the Clones.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, it's a Jango Fett prequel story. It does the Solo thing. If you remember that movie, how everything happened to Han Solo that was important in his life in a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens to Jango Fett. He takes one job for Count Dooku, and everything that matters occurred to him in that time period.
Yeah.
He gets his ship, he gets his jetpack, he gets find the clone facility on Camino. Everything happens.
What do they call the ship in Bounty Hunter?
Well, do they call it Jango Fett Starship?
Yes, that's
no. They call it. They call it the Slave One and gives no reason for it. It's really funny. Like it's like a police patrol cruiser that he commandeers, and I guess is a Star Wars Bounty Hunter spoiler, but his friend is like, "Oh, what are you gonna name it?" He's like, "It's called the Slave One." But
that's just it.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like if I was his friend, I'd be like, "Why though? Like, how did you come to that name?"
But it's better than, who are you flying with? I'm by myself. All right, Han Solo. That's better than that.
I don't know. I kind of like that cheesy thing. No, dude, this game does have a moment like that, if I may tell you.
Okay.
Where he's flying in a starship that his mentor gave him, and his friend is like, you probably can't get rid of it because you're looking for your own person to mentor before you can move on from that ship. Like, definitely trying to plant the seed for him wanting his own kid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what does that have to do with his starship though? It's like they didn't imply.
It's a very forced line.
Yes, so I was like, well, I don't know. Like he didn't say I'll never give it up. He just was like, yep, still flying the same one. I don't know. It's just very. It reminded me of the Solo scene.
Did that game come out before the movie was released?
I do not remember.
That'd be interesting to be like,
I want to say maybe shortly after.
Would make sense probably, but it'd be kind of cool if it came out before and then that was like a little tease because we didn't know.
Yeah.
About Boba. At
well,
that point.
if you played this game, you actually thought Zam Wessel would have been a character then.
Zam Wessel.
Yeah, you remember the shape-shifting bounty hunter he works with in episode 2?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because she's in this game quite a bit actually.
Oh, that's cool. Kind of cool.
Because this is how they meet again.
When it gets killed in the first 10 minutes.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, this is very fortuitous 10 days of Jango Fett's life. But the structure of the game is you're going after kind of a series of bounties, all in an effort to get this one big bounty on behalf of Count Dooku, because he sent out this big bounty to a bunch of elite bounty hunters, and the idea is the winner of this kind of contest is going to be the foundation of the clone army.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like a galactic game in that way.
That's actually kind of cool.
No, I think it is. It's a really fun setup for a bounty hunting story.
Yeah.
But what it causes is you got to find out who this person is, and you do that by kind of hunting a series of bounties, people that are connected with this gang, and
sure,
kind of get the leaderboard that way, the galactic leaderboard, and but you primarily play it through. It's like a third person shooter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's you lock on. You need to lock on. There is free aim, and you can move around during it, but it's not. It's from the era where that wasn't yet a thing.
Right. It wasn't as solid.
Yeah. So it's you definitely want to use the lock on, and your dual blasters has unlimited ammo. So most of the game is just you locking onto dudes, dual blasting them.
Okay.
Which could have been very monotonous and boring, if not for the jetpack.
Yeah.
A jetpack goes a long way And the jetpack in Bounty Hunter, it really only gives you like maybe 5 seconds of airtime before it has to like recharge.
Sure.
But what it does is it lets you zip around the battlefield. You can fly above dudes and maybe get your missile pack out, shoot like hell from above. Or you can kind of use it as like a sprint almost down a hallway if you need to close the distance, or kind of use it just like, kind of feather it to kind of keep sidestepping people. It's just like, it's so integrated heavily from early on in the game that it just becomes as natural as walking after a while.
Oh, that's cool.
And it just,
so how does it translate to the Switch?
Good. This is an Aspire re-release, and Aspire with their Star Wars games, it's just kind of like native ports. Just kind of the games don't look that much better. They look a little bit better, right? But it's not, it's not a remaster. It is just like, it is the PS2 game you remember, touch up a little bit. But they did actually add some things that are really nice in this version. For what they added a flashlight, which is really nice because Bounty Hunter could get pretty annoying. In some of the caves, it would get pretty dark. Like I remember as a kid turning up the brightness on my TV to see better.
Oh,
That kind of dark. So that goes a long way. When you're scanning for bounties in the environment, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, it slows down time now, which is really nice because it locks you into a first person view while you have his little scanner down that he flips
so you
down.
Still get attacked.
Yeah, but it was very frustrating to scan for those bounties in the original game because it was all still real time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was obnoxious. And the camera works a lot better too. So that's been great. But so it's a really nice re-release, and the Switch, works great as you would hope. I've been playing it mostly in handheld mode, and the Switch still has that magical effect in my brain where I'm like, dude, this is a PS2 game in my hand.
Yeah.
But it just, that feeling never gets old. But that's so it's been really great on the Switch. Absolutely.
Sidebar, just while I'm thinking about it, you're saying that, it looks great on the handheld and everything. At Extra Life this weekend, one of the games that Nate was playing when he was there was he played Super Mario RPG on the Switch, which I played exclusively in handheld mode when I played it, and he played it on, I don't know, a 65-inch screen that we had in this room, and I sat there and stared at it. I'm like, this game looks phenomenal.
It's like breaking your brain.
It looks so much better on the big screen, and I just was kind of, because I play almost exclusively everything with Switch. I play portably. I play in handheld mode. I got to hook that up and play it on there because it just looks so much better. But anyway, go on. Keep talking about Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, sure. No problem. The biggest disappointment about Bounty Hunter is the bounty hunting.
Why is that?
So every mission has like side bounties you can do, but the way they're integrated, because you have to use a scanner, but you have to use it like kind of on groups of enemies that are attacking you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to like try to scan in them as you're getting shot at, and you have to like click a button to make sure like it locks on so that you can actually capture them. Because if you just you can't just capture anybody. You have to like select them first.
Oh,
so you have to like scan first while you're doing during these firefights, or while you're kind of exploring, and it's so tedious because you're constantly like, for the most of the game, right? You're Jango Fett, you're flying around, you're shooting guys, you're using a flamethrower, roasting dudes, you're doing all this cool stuff. But then like the bounty hunting is just, you stop, play a quick game of Where's Waldo, and then you just go over to those guys, wire them up, press a button, they're collected. So it's a glorified collectible, basically.
That in the middle of a firefight?
Well, sometimes in the middle of a firefight. Other times they might just be like some dude down an alleyway.
Oh, okay.
But it's just like, it's never satisfying. It never feels like you're hunting a bounty. It feels like you're using the scanning visor for Metroid Prime, except also you have to press an additional button afterwards.
I was gonna make that comparison when you talked about like slowing down. Whatever.
Yeah, so it just never did it for me. Especially as like Boba Fett is my favorite Star Wars character. Like I dream of a Boba Fett video game, and this is like so close, except you're Jango, which sucks, but he's fine. Jango's great too. But it's just like, because the bounties you do for the storyline are really just, you just kind of chase them through the level and do a boss fight, right? So you never really feel like a bounty hunter. You kind of feel like a mercenary. in some way. If that makes sense. I don't know. This is
someday, dude. We'll get a Boba Fett game.
Yeah, I realize this is some fanboy nitpicking, but it's
Yeah.
just you put bounty hunter on the tin. I expect to be a bounty hunter.
So is it a spoiler to ask like who the final boss is? Like you're not fighting Dooku, are you?
No, right? Because he's your buddy.
Oh, that's right. They're still friends in episode 2. Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know if they're having dinner or anything, but yeah, they're cordial. Yeah. So the person you're chasing is an ex-Jedi.
Oh,
I feel like I can say that. They tell you that very early on. Who decided to start running a gang, which makes sense because I guess if you want a mercenary who's strong enough to take down a Jedi, is probably a good person who uses your basis for your clone army, right?
Yeah. That's why he's running the contest, right?
Right, of course, yeah. So yeah,
he's like Calypso in Twisted Metal.
Yeah, a little bit. Not unlike Calypso, granting your wish of one altered clone for yourself.
Yeah, that's what he wants.
That's all he needed. But I will say, shout out to Aspire, because if you played this game back when it came out, there were like hints, especially online, that you could play as Boba Fett. Especially because it's the same voice actor. It seems so easy. And I think there was like hidden graffiti in the game too that would be like, collect all bounties to be Boba. But it was never actually in the game.
Yeah.
But here, when you beat the game, play as Boba Fett.
Really? The suit changes to be Boba Fett's suit?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that changes. But luckily, it's the same actor, right? So
right. Yeah.
So it's a win-win. It's very easy to trick your brain into thinking you're Boba Fett.
Is it all like war tattered? Like
yes, it's a good shot up one that you want.
All right, that's cool.
With the bullet hole dent.
Yeah.
And it's the good suit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so shout out to them for that, because that's something that appeals right to people like me.
Very cool. You're playing on Switch, but it's also available on Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah, it's available everywhere.
And shout out to Sandbox Strategies for hooking us up with a copy of that. We do appreciate it, and you're making me want to play it.
It's good. It's good, man. It's not amongst the best Star Wars games or anything, but it's one of the many good ones.
How long is it?
Oh, like 6-8 hours.
Now, how long would it be for me, someone that hasn't played it 3 or 4 times like you have?
I really do think like 6 or 8 hours. Like it's hard to play faster because I guess I didn't mention, you only have 5 lives per level, which is so archaic and weird for 2002.
Yeah,
it makes no sense. But what I'm saying, like, you kind of want to make sure you're clearing out enemies, because you don't want a chance that you're getting snuck up on and have one of your lives robbed.
Right.
So like I'm saying, like, you're going to want to play thoroughly anyway. So yeah, 6 to 8 hours for most people, no doubt.
Okay. Sounds good.
But speaking of the Switch and of nostalgia, I suppose, you've been playing Nintendo World Championship NES Edition.
I have.
How is it? Is this... So Nintendo World Championship means something to people of your age range, right?
Yes. There was actually one of the trailers for this kind of talked about this, where like back in the 80s, there was a video game competition that Nintendo put together where they actually had different locations across the country, and people competed to play, to play these games against each other. And it was a timed deal where like you play, I think the first one is you play Mario, you have to get a certain number of coins, and then the game automatically flips over and goes to Rad Racer. You have to complete a race in Rad Racer, and then it flips over to Tetris, and you have to get a certain number of points in Tetris, and then it records your time. And they had everybody start at the same time, and whoever got the best time won. And that cartridge that those 3 games are on, like they only gave them to like the winners of the competitions. I think they got like a gold-plated cartridge.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing all about the gold cartridges.
And those are like incredibly rare, as you can imagine. There's not that many of them. We actually got to hold one at MGC, at Midwest Gaming Classic, and it had a price tag that was 6 digits on it.
Did you have to put on gloves before you touched it?
Well, it was in a acrylic case.
Oh, okay.
So we didn't. So I didn't really hold it, but I got to hold the case. I'm such a nerd. But anyway. So, in the spirit of that competition, Nintendo has made Nintendo World Championships NES Edition, which is, boy, how do you describe this? It's like, at least at the beginning, it's almost like you're playing WarioWare
That's what I thought of when I watched the trailer.
Yeah, it's like bite-sized pieces of familiar franchises from Nintendo. So, like the very first one is get the mushroom in Mario 1-1.
Sure.
Some of them are that simple. One of them in Zelda is get the sword. So you literally go up into the cave, grab the sword, and boom, it's done.
10 seconds, maybe?
Not even. Some of these are like 3 or 4 seconds.
Okay, yeah, definitely some WarioWare energy.
Yeah. Now, they do get more difficult. Like you build up. They start out very, very easy, and they get progressively harder and harder and harder. I'm up to the point in Super Mario Brothers where like you have to complete 1-1 all the way to the flagpole, which, there's a lot more margin for error and that kind of thing. So I've been having fun myself going through and doing that. My issue so far has been everything is not available to you. You have to unlock it, and you unlock it by playing more, playing the lower level ones, and you earn these points, and then you can spend those points. But no matter how much I complete on this board, I don't have enough points to complete the next one. So in order to get more points, you have to go to the championship mode, where they do like a weekly they pick 5 random challenges from the entire list, and you get to play them.
I mean, that's fun.
It is fun, and that also gets you some points that you can go and unlock it. But me being the checklisty guy, I just want to go through and unlock everything and practice everything and all that. It's really fun. My biggest issue with this game is that this game only works in terms of playing with friends if you're sitting on the couch with one another. There is no online leaderboard with friends.
Really?
There's a global leaderboard, and you can't even really like look at the gameplay of the people on the leaderboards. You can only look at like in that weekly challenge or daily challenge that I was talking about. You can look at whoever the number 1 person is on the leaderboard in the world to see how they did it, and it's like watching a speedrunner that's broken the game in some way.
Yeah, but just what a basic feature to not include a friend's leaderboard. That's crazy.
Yeah, like wouldn't you rather compete against your friends instead of a number 1 spot that I'm clearly never going to achieve? I mean, like I did one challenge and I'm like 35,758th in the world or something like that. It's just ridiculous.
So do you find it fun to play even though you can't compete with friends? Because I feel like I would lose a lot of motivation, honestly.
I mean, it's fun to go through and see what the challenges are, and they give you like a ranking, either like a letter grade, and then there's an S rank, and that's fun. But I feel like I'm just competing against myself just to see if I can get the S ranks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, as an NES kid, I guess there's probably a point of pride in getting those S ranks, right?
Yes. However, there are a couple games in there I did not play, like Ice Climber. I'm going to tell you right now, screw that game.
Not a fan?
Ice Climber is the dumbest game. The jumping is atrocious. I've gotten very frustrated.
I've heard that about Ice Climber my entire life. Is it really that bad?
You're going to have to try it. When we get together next time, I'm going to have to like fire that up and let you just... It's the jumping is awful. Like where... I don't know if you know the game. It's like there's like layers, and then you like kind of jump through them. You break through. Okay, you break the ice by jumping, and he just automatically swings a hammer. So it's more like a Mario block. Like you just destroy it, right?
Okay, yeah.
And then you have to jump up above that. Well, the not hitbox detection, but like the platform detection. Like you can go through the platform. You have to be very far on the platform in order to be able to get onto it. And the jumping, it's just so frustrating. It's so stupid. But it's fun doing the ones that I'm familiar with. And some that are fun that I'm not super familiar with. Like I never played Kirby's Adventure a ton on NES, and that's a pretty fun one to go through and do. I'm actually learning more about Excitebike. Like to me, I just played that as a kid, and I didn't really know what I was doing except riding a motorcycle, and now I understand how the turbo works.
What more do you need than just riding a dirt bike?
Well, when you're a kid, yeah, but now there's like, there's a turbo that you can use, but you don't want to overheat the engine, and there's a certain way you land, and certain ways to hit the jumps so that you get more momentum once you do land, and it's I think the Trials series has educated me a little bit since then. So,
Sure.
So like I said, it's very disappointing there's no online friend leaderboard. Again, that's something that could be very easily remedied. Whether or not Nintendo's going to do that.
Say, for any other company, yeah, but this is Nintendo.
Yeah. But we did play it at the Extra Life stream we did. We played it with, I don't know if we did, I think we only had 6 controllers, but I think we did it with 4 people. And that's fun, but it's not fun for a super long time. They'll do these different groups of challenges, like I talked about with the daily ones, where they choose 5 random ones. But with the multiplayer one, they actually have set groups of 5. Like these are the really easy ones, and then they go to the medium ones, and then the hard ones. And we did it for a little bit, but I feel like everyone just kind of got like their fill.
Yeah.
I feel like, and part of the reason I bought it is I wanted to have it at R2V2, just to have set out for people to do and just to have a fun challenge, because that's just to sit and play once or twice and then move on. You know what I mean? But
right. Show your friend how good you are at Excite Bike and then move on.
Right. But with that said, it's $40. It's not, it's not super expensive. It's not a $60 or $70 title. I actually, again, I probably shouldn't tell you this. I bought the physical version, the one that's got like the gold cartridge on the inside.
Yeah, sealed in plastic, I presume.
It's not plastic, but it's got the little tab thing that covers it. And that's up on my shelf. And then I bought it digitally.
It's all right. I know who you are. It's okay.
Yeah. So it's one of those that's difficult to recommend because it has the potential to be something awesome, but the lack of online leaderboards just feels like such a whiff.
Don't you think it would be more compelling if you got achievements for every S rank?
Sure.
No, I was just trying to bring it back to the
yeah. So it's like it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of fun for a short amount of time. It doesn't have a lot of legs to it. Even though there's a lot of other challenges to unlock, I just don't feel super motivated to do it.
Do you think you need to have prior knowledge of these games to get anything out of this?
I think it definitely helps. Like I said, the Ice Climber, I hate because I don't have the nostalgia for it. I was talking to Chris Owens about it, and he said he loved Ice Climber when he was a kid, and he's enjoying the hell out of those challenges.
Yeah,
so I think it definitely does play a factor.
So this is perfect for like 40-year-olds and up.
Right. I feel like I want to put this in the hands of my students just to see what they do. They're not gonna.
I would be very interested to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, most of them know like, oh, I got to get a mushroom. I get that. I got to punch the block and get a mushroom. But some of them, like when they play Super Mario 2, like, what do you mean pick up an enemy? Or whatever. But the game does something nice. They show you like a trial run before you actually do it. Be like, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to run over here, pick up this guy, and hurl it into somebody else, or whatever. And then they actually let you do a practice round if you want to, but that's not fun.
No, it's not. WarioWare would never let you practice.
Yeah, you just got like that was kind of the beauty of WarioWare was like throw you into and just figure it out as you do it, right?
Yeah. You got 3 seconds to figure it out.
Exactly. Man, WarioWare. I have some memories of that game. Anyway, that is Nintendo World Championships NES edition. I don't regret buying it, but I am not like jump up and down excited about it. If that makes sense. Before we move on to our topic, I sat down with Mark to talk about a game that he checked out for us. He played the preview for a point-and-click adventure that I'm very interested in hearing about, and I hope you guys like it. Here you go. Mark Szymanski, how you been, sir?
I've been doing great, Scott. How have you been lately?
I'm doing all right. I'm excited to talk to you about this game you've been checking out for us. I believe it's just a demo, correct?
Correct. It was just a demo.
Just a demo for a game called Whirlight, No Time to Trip. You're playing this on PC. I asked you to check this one out for me because as much as I like point-and-click adventure games, I would imagine it's a little bit more difficult to play them on a Steam Deck, which is my only way to play these games. Since you are one of our few reviewers that actually have a mouse and keyboard computer, I mean, I got a Mac, but you know how that goes.
Yep.
I asked you to check this out. Now, are you a point-and-click aficionado, or is this out of your wheelhouse?
Aficionado, no, but I've played a couple of them for the podcast, and I've grown to really enjoy them because you can dive more into a story with a point-and-click in a lot of cases.
Absolutely.
You're not so distracted by the gameplay.
Yeah, I gotta say though, the trailer for this one really stood out to me, just visually and with the audio on this one, does the demo hold up as well as the trailer does?
100% it does.
Yeah.
Right from the opening scene where you're following like this butterfly down a street that kind of reminded me of like the Harry Potter movies. It was really cool. And then the sound, the music is crisp and clean and whimsical. I loved it. And then the voice acting, and I'm trying to blank on his name already. Jeffrey Machado, that was his name. He's fantastic. It sounded like they really spent up to make this seem as professional and high quality as they possibly could. And then it's still a point-and-click adventure, which is a fun game for anybody to enjoy.
Awesome. Anything stand out in terms of the gameplay, or is this typical find an item, find another item, combine them, and then use them on something else?
Yeah, it's pretty generic. That's the wrong word. It's a pretty basic point-and-click adventure. Like you said, you find items, you're looking around, you're combining things, you're using the items that you find on different environmental pieces. Like in the very opening scene, you pull a poster off the wall and you throw it into the fireplace, which releases your degree from the chimney. And so you have to pick up the degree and put it on the wall, and that reveals a code to a safe that's in the wall. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, I'll be honest with you. But
not as much sense as a pulley in the middle of a rubber chicken.
Yeah. Also true, yes.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like point-and-click adventures have become, they remind me of like digital escape rooms, which I love escape rooms, and it's just you just got to kind of figure out what you're doing. But I always worry that I'm not going to be able to handle it, because I remember the days, and this isn't a point-and-click adventure per se, but Myst scared me away from a lot of logic-based games because I could not figure a thing out when I was a kid doing that. Does this one? Is there any big difficulty here, or what you played in the demo? Is it okay to figure out, even though some of it's a little outside the box thinking?
It is mostly okay to figure out. There are some things that just didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But the difference here from Myst is that there is a hint button. It basically reveals all the hotspots on the screen that you can click on. And you can eliminate a lot of the guesswork that way. You just click on something until it makes sense. And if you can't figure out, just put the chicken on the pulley, for lack of a better phrase. You just do some wacky stuff. And the voice actor will say, I don't think this goes here. You'll hear that a lot on this game in a couple of the scenes. But when you're done, it's satisfying. And as mentioned, the music, the graphics, the voice acting keeps you involved in the game, makes you keep wanting to move forward.
Very cool. What's the story about here?
You are an inventor. Somebody has stolen all your inventions and has also basically put you in some kind of strange world that you need to find your way out of.
Okay.
And you do that through pointing and clicking and putting the pieces together. Later on, I didn't meet her in the demo, but later on in the game, there is another character who is supposed to work with you and help you in your cause of not only finding your inventions, and I'm assuming getting the credit to yourself again because the dude that stole them is trying to say that they're his.
Okay.
But also get your way out of this mess that you're in, that you're kind of trapped in, for lack of a better word.
Now, one of the things I read in your your preview or short review of the demo that you played, I think you said was the only like real issue you had is just the speed at which the character moves across the screen, because I guess that's part of his character, right?
Yes, he is very. If you've seen The Big Lebowski, he's very much like the dude. He wears flip flops. He walks very slowly, lazy, whimsical, and kind of just I'm cool. Don't need to go anywhere quickly. And these levels are several screens wide, so you walk from one end of the screen to the other, and then there might be another part of the level on the next screen over. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple of points where you've pointed and clicked on everything, and you've missed something. I'm going to go back to the beginning. Well, he just takes his sweet time walking across your screen. So if there was like a button that I could hold down to make him run a little bit, or maybe just quick travel, I would have loved it. Mm-hmm. That was my only gripe, though, was it took him a while to walk from one end of the screen to the other.
But it sounded like in your review it was like hardly a deal breaker.
No, not at all. I would have gladly kept going. So much.
Okay.
So much to enjoy in that game.
So people can play the demo as well. It's out now for everybody.
Yes, it is.
I believe it's about 45 minutes long. At least another friend of mine that played it said that's how long it took him.
Yep.
And if I'm reading this correctly, it's also coming to Xbox and PlayStation, which is interesting. I didn't know that until I was prepping for this recording. The game comes from developer and publisher Imaginary Lab, and Home Run PR is the people that hooked you up with that copy a little bit earlier. So you recommend people check this one out?
For sure, and they have plenty of time to do it. According to Steam anyway, it's still a 2025 release date on it. So there's still a lot of time to go, but throw it in your wish list, because if you enjoy point-and-click adventures, this will be a game for you.
Sounds good. Well, Mark, thanks so much for checking it out. I really appreciate it, man.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll catch you next time.
Sure will.
Very quickly before we get to the topic, want to remind everybody about Facebook. Got some new members over there to say hello to: Stephanie Navarra, David Haynes, Jordan Chosnick, and Dylan Castro. Again, if you'd like to join the community, facebook.com/groups/thegocast. And also our Discord server is in the show notes. Like I mentioned, you can join there. We got a good community over there. And also, I looked it up. We have not gotten a review on Apple Podcasts in exactly 1 year. So if you've got a second and you're listening on Apple Podcasts, I feel like most people are listening on Spotify now, because so many people have Spotify and there's no review system on Spotify. Well, if you're on Apple,
they've updated Apple Podcasts so many ways and so strongly that it barely resembles what it was a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I got to look into it, how you guys can help us out there and give us reviews. But if you're on Apple, give us a review. We will read it on the show. And lastly, our website, thegamingoutsider.com. There you can find all of our episodes as well as our written content, including, you just heard Mark talk about Whirlight No Time to Trip. His written review of his preview of that game is available on the site. With that, let's go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. For this week's From the Outside In topic, we decided to talk about some of our favorite friends in video games. We talked about love stories in the past, but we wanted to take a closer look at relationships that didn't necessarily focus on love. Buddy relationships. So, Zach, I actually struggled when I was trying to come up with lists for this. I was like, I know there's got to be a whole bunch of them, but the more I kept thinking, and I was just like, I feel like this is like an underutilized plot device in video games. I feel like if it's ever a really good relationship, it's always focused on love. Am I wrong, or were you able to come with a ton?
I'm in the same boat with you. When we talked about this topic, I assumed that I was going to be pulling out. I thought I was going to have to narrow it down.
Right, me too.
But it is rarer than you would think, right? And which is surprising. And yeah, maybe because video games often want you to feel like you are the character, right? So maybe they isolate you more than a movie would.
Right.
But yeah, I was very surprised, because even one of the first things that came to mind was Halo or Master Chief and Cortana, but then that did get romantic pretty explicitly by the time of Halo 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's very interesting. I was very surprised when I was doing research for this topic.
Totally. Like I said, we talked about this, and I was like, oh, I'm going to come up with a ton. And then I was like, wait a minute. It was really hard to come up with some.
Yeah.
And then there were ones where they were friends, but they, wind up becoming enemies at some point or something like that. Or there was some twist. And
well, I mean, there's plenty of they're your buddy for the tutorial, and then it turns out they're the bad guy or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Or something like that. But there's not a ton of games that focus narratively on a friendship between two characters, or even not the main focus of the story, but it's very evident that this is a buddy duo, or even a group in some cases. So I'm glad I'm not alone there. And like we mentioned, you mentioned with Cortana and Master Chief, it eventually turned into a romantic thing, which is interesting considering she's an AI.
She's a hologram. Yeah, but
yeah,
she's sentient.
But do you think that romantic relationships are forced in video game plots like they are in Hollywood movies?
I actually don't think so.
No?
Hollywood, is famous for, if these are the two leads of the movie, they will kiss. But I actually don't think that that's an issue with video games. I think a lot of times, like I was just saying, the characters are often isolated, or, you're kind of interacting with NPCs here and there. And certainly RPGs are big on romance, right? Or giving you romance options.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think they're particularly forced like you often see in Hollywood blockbusters.
Yeah, I had to agree. I kind of, when I wrote this question, I was like, oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But then again, I started thinking about it, and I'm like, no, it's really not. Like, you would kind of expect it to do the same tropes, but I don't know. Maybe gamers don't expect the love to blossom quite like we do in movies. I mean,
yeah, and I'm a big sucker for a love story. But it can definitely come out of nowhere in some movies. But I feel like video games, yeah, it's the ones I think of, it's mostly earned. Even something that's trying to be a movie like Uncharted. Nate and Elena, it feels right when they kiss. Maybe it's because video games are longer too. So you have more time with these characters interacting.
Yeah, it's not like 2 hours where like,
yeah, so it doesn't.
Oh well, yeah, they gotta get together.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't feel like 90 minutes later they're like, oh my god, I would do anything for her. You're like, dude,
Right.
I don't even. I'm not even entirely sure what her name is. There's no way you. Yeah.
Oh, there's some times where I watch a movie and like 15 minutes in, I can tell you like the whole plot. Like it's like the tropes of those movies. Like, oh, they get along. He does something to piss her off. He does something to make up for it, and then they're all,
Sure.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, true.
he hides it, and then she finds out anyway, and
Yeah, or like what was it, Edge of Darkness, the Tom Cruise movie, where he relives the same day, and like he and Emily Blunt kiss at the end. I'm like, why? There's nothing. There's been not even a hint of romance so far.
and in her world,
Yeah, that's
that
true.
was one day.
She's met that dude 6 hours ago.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Like he's got the time that he is,
right. She's just
put
got to
into
trust
this
that they're friends,
relationship.
basically, and she's like, well, I guess I don't know. I guess maybe she just thought he was really cute.
That always bothered me with like that movie 50 First Dates, Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler. Like she just falls in love with him in 12 hours.
Oh yeah. Well, by the end of it, it just takes a videotape, right? She's like a 30-minute rundown of her life, and she's like, well, I guess I'm in love with that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it would probably help if she were in it and her, her family's there.
I guess that's true. Anyway. Yeah. Well, how does she? It could have been AI, bro. She doesn't know.
Oh my God. That's just the word of the week, apparently. So I'm going to start with you. Which ones stand out as most memorable for you in a good way?
Well, I'm gonna get rid of the two obvious ones right away.
I assume you're going to go with one of mine. Yeah.
Well, there's one we share that I'm going to let you take. Yes, but the two obvious ones for me, I'm going to get John Marston and Arthur Morgan.
Yeah. Saw that coming.
They have kind of this brotherly thing towards the beginning. They're brotherly throughout, but they just grow closer and closer over the course of Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's quite beautiful. And then I gotta shout out Nier and Vice, of course.
Yeah.
So I gotta get the Parkerson standbys real quick, but those two are a lot of fun, especially Papa Nier and Vice, because they have they almost have like a married bickering relationship. That is a great deal of fun because in Replicant it's a little more mentor-y, and then he grows up and then they're a little more compatriots, but they're just talking smack to each other for a lot of the original Nier.
Right.
When he was an old man. It was great. But yeah, I assume you were going to talk about some Gears of War.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Marcus and Dom. I assumed was going to be on both of our lists.
To me, when I think of like the ultimate video game bromance, Marcus and Dom come to mind.
Yeah.
They're just,
I can't think of another that tops that.
Yeah, in terms of just like those games are about that friendship.
Right.
That first
Which is why this new one coming out is so intriguing to me, because we're going to see how that friendship started.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. Well, yeah, if you read the book, it's actually interesting how they became friends. But
you think the game is going to follow the book?
They will have to make reference to Dom's brother, at least. Yeah. Because he played a role. But yeah, that is like a whole trilogy about bros. You know what I mean? Like, because like Baird and Cole have a really great friendship as well.
Yeah.
And and you can tell that those guys have history that we're not necessarily privy to. And I think we see some of it in Gears of War Judgment. But you can tell those guys have been through the ringer together. Like they're as tight with one another as Dom and Marcus are. Which is impressive when you see their personalities, right? Because Baird is such an aggressive asshole,
right?
Thinks he's smarter than everybody, and Cole's kind of this, former football player. He's easy to be friends with, but he's high energy. doesn't seem like they should be tight, but they certainly are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we got the obvious ones out of the way.
Yeah.
Let's go to the less obvious ones, which my list isn't super long.
So, Vivi and Steiner in Final Fantasy IX have a really interesting friendship that develops because he's so uptight and Vivi is so like just friendly and chummy with everybody.
Gotta play the game.
That the way they kind of blossom into each other, and particularly like Steiner because Vivi's essentially a child, but like
it's like the little mage, right?
Yeah, the cute little black mage guy. But he's so powerful with black magic, and like it's just really endearing that Steiner is like he goes from like thinking that this little rapscallion to he starts calling him Master Vivi because he's so impressed with him, and they just have like a really endearing friendship.
You see the guy in the armor suit?
Yes, he's a total goofball.
Yeah,
he's a lot of fun. Another one that came to mind here, if I may jump into a listener comment. Because
go ahead.
Because I was surprised to see someone else reference it. But this jumping over to Discord, Alan Sheck wrote in. This is kind of an unconventional friendship. Mild spoilers for the Hitman games. There's a little initial indication that your character, Agent 47, and the detached sounding British voice that delivers your assignments, Diana, are anything more than cold-hearted cogs in the machine of their contract agency. But over time, you come to see that they deeply care about each other. And then he goes on to share a bunch of spoilers that I don't feel like we need to share. But
no, okay.
I mean, unless you really want to. But
I read it, but
yeah.
I didn't. I know how people say we don't spoil enough stuff on here, so I didn't know what. I'll leave that in your hands.
Oh, I don't feel like we need to get into it, but because when I was a kid, I was way into Hitman, and it's just fun to see because they are kind of detached from one another in like the first game. But then they do kind of start getting closer and closer, so much so that one of the games, it might have been Absolution. Like all of the trailers were Hitman's next target is Diana. That's what Agent 47, like that was the pitch of the game. And it kind of, it goes from there. But I remember seeing that trailer and thinking like, no, we can't do that. Can't do that to Diana. That's madness. And then another one is, for me along similar lines is Sam Fisher and Lambert in Splinter Cell.
I don't remember the character. I only played the one.
Understood. He's the voice in your ear. He's technically your boss. And they are tight from the get-go, and they know how to kind of talk to one another, and they're able to goof off a little bit, even though the fate of the world is often on the line, or countries going to war or whatever. They just
can I add one just real quick because it's along the same vein of what you're talking about?
No problem.
I had on my list Snake and Otacon.
Oh yeah, dude, that's a great one. Yeah,
like because I haven't played the whole series. I've only played the first two, but just that those two games alone were like he's the dude in your ear,
right?
And isn't there a moment like in one of the games where like they actually meet in person and shake hands?
Well, they meet in the very first game, right, where Snake runs into him when he's in the locker and he pees himself.
Is that the first time they meet?
That's how they met, I thought, right?
Dude, it's been so long since I played through that game.
I want to say Otacon was working at that base and was like kind of feeding information, maybe, and then that was Snake meeting him. What a lovely first meeting.
Yeah. Sammy, sorry to interject. I just thought it made sense to throw that one in.
No, it's great. I mean, they're so tied together, those series.
Yeah.
Or at least they were. I guess only one survived. But yeah, no, they're great. Sam's also got a great relationship with Grim, but that kind of comes later. Grim's daughter is another. That's the analyst in your ear.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of have a relationship, but it gets a little tenser in the later games. But Sam and Lambert are pretty ride or die till the end. So much so that Lambert plays a big role in Splinter Cell Double Agent when Sam is undercover, and like they're so tight that Lambert risks his life to like make sure he can get a message to Fisher in person, sort of thing, because it's such sensitive information. So like. Yeah, they have a great relationship, and it plays an important role in Splinter Cell Conviction as well. It's just really good stuff. Do you have any more?
I do. I'm actually shocked that none of mine were on your list outside of Marcus and Dom was clearly going to be on both of our lists.
Yeah, I'm sure my memory will be jogged here, but
Ori and Naru.
Really?
Ori and the Blind Forest.
Okay.
That was. I mean, granted, you only saw it at the very beginning, right? It was like up the video game.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but like in that 3 minutes or whatever, I was sold on the two of them just being best buds, and it gave you purpose to go on in that game. Man, I would love to go replay those games. Those are so good. Let's see, what else did I have? Noctis, Gladiolus.
Oh my
Ignis
god, what's wrong with
and
me? How did
Prompto.
I not think of these guys?
From Final Fantasy 15,
You're
like
right.
especially Noctis and Prompto. I've had the two of them especially, but all four of them. It's just like four dudes on a Final Fantasy road trip.
I mean, you're right. The premise of the game is bros on a bachelor party trip, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
You can't get much more focused on male friendship than that.
Yeah, so that one was for sure. The other one I had, which is, it falls under that one I mentioned earlier about where they kind of become enemies, but at least in the first Infamous, Cole and Zeke were an awesome.
Yeah.
Remember?
Oh, dude, Jack and Daxter. I'm sorry, I totally cut you off. Yeah, Cole.
No, yeah.
Cole and Zeke. Yeah, they were great. Well, they only become enemies if you go evil.
Right, if you choose the dark path, you can. You like,
Because if
you have to choose to either take him out or let him kill you.
do that, yeah, the bad guy choice for that boss fight. Oh my god, it's crazy.
Yeah,
He's like,
man, those games. Why can't we get a remaster of those games?
yeah,
dude?
at least a re-release, right? Like it's insane.
Like I would go back and play Infamous. Those were so solid, just so solid. I didn't put Jack and Daxter on my list because I've not played the games.
Yeah,
I miss out on all of those buddy ones. Jack and Daxter, Sly.
I was gonna say actually, all three of those PlayStation era platformers are great for friendships. Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter.
Ratchet and Clank. Yeah.
This
Actually, we had someone mention Ratchet and Clank. I believe in the comments. I thought somebody did.
Yeah, no, Max or Mike Stoller said, "Hey, listen. On a more serious note, I've always liked Ratchet and Clank's friendship. The games are all spectacular. What I really love about Ratchet and Clank is that like they can't stand each other in that first game.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I love about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice. Like a little enemies to lovers trope, but for bros. Ratchet and Clank's great, but I do think the Sly gang is the best of that batch though. They're just so, because it's all three of them, but like they're all tight with each other and they just rely on each other, especially like as the sequels when you start playing as Bentley and Murray.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, they know they can rely on each other. You know, it's this whole heist crew vibe going on, but there is honor amongst those thieves.
Can you play those games on current consoles? Like, do they release those on PlayStation?
No, I think the first one just got released on PS2 to PS4. You know, one of those things they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't play like the full trilogy, which sucks because they're incredible, man. They're incredible.
I mean, that's the same developer as Infamous, right?
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely.
So if the gameplay's got to be pretty tight, even though it's a PS2 era. Probably tighter than what we're used to playing with other platformers. And
yeah, Sly is still my favorite Sucker Punch series for sure. I love Sly. I think you would love Sly Cooper.
I think I would too. I just never got. I don't know why I missed it because it just looks cool.
Yes, well,
it's a freaking like stealthy raccoon with a hook.
Like I say, it's a heist platformer series. Like that's just a cool. Yeah, and you're like using your little hook to pickpocket people. Yeah.
Or to slide down wires and stuff.
Well, and you're getting chased by the foxy police woman who is a fox.
Oh,
you
made the sale. Stop selling.
And she's got that little flirty repertoire with Sly throughout the games.
Nice.
It's like classic heist stuff, but happens to have animal characters. But speaking of PlayStation exclusive, Nate and Sully, of course.
Yeah, we had somebody comment on that one as well.
Oh, that's right.
Tim Pollen on Discord said, "Easy answer for me is Nathan Drake and Victor Sullivan. I fell in love with these characters in a rough part of my life. Big thanks to a buddy loaning me the Uncharted trilogy for my PS3. I love it hearing stories about that where a game, kind of helped you get through a difficult time.
Yeah. I feel like we've all got a few, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously. So glad to hear that, Tim. Thanks for sharing your story, man.
You know what?
I had one more. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, you share your last one, and then I want to share something disappointing.
Oh, okay. Well, my last one I feel like doesn't count, but because they're not really buddies, and you only see them at the end of the game, and it's almost more familial than friendship, but they're not actually related. So, Samus and the Baby Metroid, man.
Oh yeah. I guess,
like,
I can see how you got there.
right. I mean, I know it's not, and it's not really in the spirit of like, buddies throughout the game, but that moment where like it recognizes you and it, like realizes what it just did and then kind of flies off in shame and then rescues you at the end and sacrifices itself. Like, that's like such a friend thing to do. That's I don't know. And like, what other game is able to tell that emotional of a story without a single line of dialogue?
Right. It's very, very efficient about it.
I can't tell you how many times I've played through that ending of that game just because it was just so phenomenal. It was so much fun when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my list. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, what's a shame is I can't think of any female like buddy relationships.
Life is Strange.
Yeah.
Is the one that came to mind, and I actually thought of that one, but it didn't stand out to me as one that like was just awesome.
Yeah, well, I guess that one gets muddied for me because it can go romantic so quickly.
Yeah, and I couldn't remember if it actually did go romantic or if it just like was hinting at that it was going romantic.
You ultimately get to decide, but you can so you can kind of start going down the path pretty early though. So that one's a little more confusing or trickier for me. The only one I could think of is Chloe and Nadine, maybe in Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But even then, like, they don't.
They're thieves.
Well, I was gonna say they're not like, I don't see them going on further adventures afterwards. It seemed like they had a mutual respect
by proxy.
Yeah, they learned to respect each other by the end of that because they had to work together. But then it seems like they can actually get along now. But I don't see Chloe calling Nadine to see if she wants to go catch a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Why don't you write a story, man?
Sure. But
email buddy story in a video game. Do it.
It's just weird. Yeah, we need some girl bromances. What would they call? I don't know what they call that.
I don't either.
Can't be,
trying to come up with something clever.
Cismances. That's just
no. That just sounds dumb.
That's not gonna do it. I guess Trigger Witch has some girl buddies, but yeah, that's I don't know how those play out yet.
Let's go, and we already read some of these comments, but I got a few more to go through here. Bill Gardner II over on Facebook said Garcia? Garcia Hotspur and Big Johnson. The relationship started out a bit rough and developed into a beautiful friendship. Kinda.
I got a pretty good relationship with a Big Johnson myself.
Yeah. I hope more people play that game because it's so ridiculous, and that turret sequence is worth the price of an admission.
Amongst the greatest of turret sequences, no doubt.
Oh man, it's so funny. The first time I'm like, I'm actually doing this. This is actually happening. And he actually, like, Garcia effing Hotspur says some things that I never thought I would hear in a video game during that sequence. It was pretty great.
It's wonderful.
Want to do the next one?
Sean Coates writes in, Joel and Ellie, The Last of Us. He sees Ellie's life at the cost of robbing the entire human race of a potential cure. Can't get any more concrete than that. I would merely argue that that's a father-daughter relationship, though.
That's why I left it off my list. I mean, they were friends, but it was more of a protector. I mean, he clearly was protecting like she was his daughter,
right?
Because that's because of what happened at the beginning of that game. But it's still and I would also argue that it's probably not the greatest relationship considering how that story ends.
Oh, I disagree, but that's not a conversation we can have on here. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
It's just, it is very realistic. It's muddy. It's messy. No,
it makes for a great story.
Yeah.
It just, the things that were done were for her. But yeah, man, we could have a whole discussion about that. But let's go on to the next one. Brian Lewis says, Argo from Shadow of the Colossus. Best horse in any game, period. He doesn't say anything. Doesn't bitch and moan, doesn't need me to tell him anything. Just rolls with the punches until the very end. Love you, bro.
Wow. It's crazy he's that attached to the horse of Shadow of the Colossus and got his name wrong.
His name is it Aggro?
It's Aggro. Yeah.
I thought that sounded, I saw Argo and I thought of the movie.
Well, it sticks out because I definitely, when I was a kid, I thought he was saying egg roll.
Oh, really?
It was like, that's how my brain interpreted it. But yeah, no, it's Aggro. Brian, I'm sure you probably just sent in a typo. I'm just giving you a hard time. Aggro he's a cool horse. Don't get me wrong. But
I saw when I was doing my research, there were a bunch of people that said Roach, and
Yeah.
but I played that game a bunch, but I don't remember there being like a relationship.
no,
I don't remember. I just remember
I feel like
Roach.
there's more intimacy between Link and Epona than Geralt and
Yeah.
Roach in my experience.
I didn't even think of that. Like,
Doesn't I thought I heard, this is secondhand from a Witcher fan, but I could have swore he just names all of his horses Roach.
that's what I thought too.
Yeah,
like
the joke, which would mean that he's not tight with them, really, right?
yeah, he just gets a new one and calls that one Roach as well. I think we got one more comment over on Discord.
Yeah, sure. Over with TJ Kitsune writes in, Sonic and Tails have stuck it through for decades. Classic duo. Even beating each other up in Sonic the Fighters and still friends.
There you go. I'm surprised Kevin didn't make that comment.
Yeah,
but,
that's true. Yeah.
I shout out to TJ. I saw him at our extra life event. He stopped by to say hi. So
Can you confirm
He's
or deny if he is a fox spirit yet?
I did not. I forgot to ask him that.
Okay,
So,
well, the mystery is still wide open.
I did find out that he went to high school with CB though. That was
really?
news to me this weekend. So
Oh.
yeah, small world.
It's kind of hard to imagine CB in school.
It's getting hard to imagine him being on this podcast. It's been about 2.5, 3 months now, but
Yeah.
the schedules have not been working out for him.
He's
So
a-
hopefully we can get him on next week.
Yeah, he's a phantom in the ether, I suppose.
Yeah, he's still with us, guys. I promise. I can confirm. I sat with him for 24 hours in one room on Saturday.
Oh, you know what,
So,
dude? I forgot about the greatest friendship in all of video games.
What's that?
Max Payne and Painkillers.
Yeah, I saw a lot of comments of Doom Guy and his shotgun.
Oh,
Yeah, come on. Anyway, that's our topic for the week. Next week, we haven't done this in a while, I feel like. We're going to do community questions.
Yeah.
So next week.
It has been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, for whatever reason, we have been skipping it. So we're going to go back to community questions next week. So get those questions ready.
Get weird.
I will post
Get
it.
weird with it.
Yeah, the weird questions do work really well, I guess. So stay tuned to Facebook, Discord, Twitter, all that. We will post that, and we will be looking for your questions that we can answer on the show. And hopefully we'll get all 4 of us back together next week, or at least 3 of us. And if not, Zach and I got this.
Yeah.
So
I'm always
But that's
you know
gonna-
what? We're ride or die, baby. You know, this is one of the great friendships right here.
dude, let's do it.
Romance for the ages.
I mean, we became friends on Gears of War, so of course Gears of War was going to be our
That's
our choice there.
Sure.
But that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thank you so much for listening. This episode was produced by Kevin Honigford, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemmage and Metroid Metal, who just texted me today and confirmed that he booked his flight to Chicago October 12th to come. Actually, he'll be coming the night before, but he will be there at R2V2, and he is the headlining act for R2V2, along with 2 other bands. I didn't even tell you this, Zach. I booked 2 other bands. One is called Game Genie, and the
Good
other
name,
is
good name.
and the other is they don't have a band name. It's just 2 performers. The pianist, his name is Jer, Jer. He and I believe her name is Natalie. She sings. He plays piano. They do the song from Portal. Still Alive.
Yeah, of course.
Which I saw a video of them doing it live on YouTube. It's fantastic. So really looking forward to actually having live music at R2V2. It's gonna be awesome. So mark your calendars. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Zach, any parting words or recommendations for our listeners?
You know, man, I just saw Pale Rider, the Clint Eastwood movie from 1985, over at the local Cinemagic Theater. And it's the first time I saw it. Great movie. No surprise, Clint Eastwood in a Western, it's usually a winning combination. But what I thought was interesting, because it's Clint Eastwood, defending a mining town, standard Western stuff. I eat it up. But I didn't, Pale Rider obviously is a reference to the Horseman of the Apocalypse, Death. I didn't realize, he is Death in the movie.
Oh.
The movie opens with the little girl praying over the grave of her dog that got killed during the last raid from these bandits.
Mm-hmm.
And she's praying. She's doing the whole through the valley of the shadow of the death prayer.
Yeah.
hoping for a miracle. And the whole time, the movie just keeps cutting to Clint Eastwood like riding through the snowy mountains on a white horse, like making it pretty clear that he is answering the prayer. And then like you see like shortly after that he's got wounds on his body that would have killed any normal man. Like,
so he's not human.
Yeah, so like he is just death, or at least like death's borrowing a body or something. It's just it is really cool. But this makes like the second Clint Eastwood directed Western that's like just kind of a campfire story made into a movie. It's just really interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is. It was super cool. Yeah, and then this guy disappears up the mountains. Spoilers. He drifts out of the story as he does in every Western he's in. But but he just kind of fades into the background. Very, I don't know. It was great. It was a great movie. But I was surprised that it was not subtle that he was like actually the Pale Rider.
Nice.
Yeah.
I thought of you today, actually, and speaking of Westerns, and this is going to sound like it's coming from left field, but I got caught up on House of Dragons today.
Okay.
The HBO series.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't know how much you're watching that or how caught up you are, but there is a scene, like the opening scene in the latest episode, it's like episode 9 of season 2, looks like something straight out of a Western.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you what, but it was very, it just was very Western themed. So I thought of you in that moment. But
all right, well, I'll keep that in mind because there's definitely some HBO stuff I got to get caught up on. I try to only have one at a time, so I have Prime right now for The Boys, and then when I catch up on that, I'll just cancel that, go over to HBO, catch up on House of Dragon.
Well, you'll be perfect timing because there's only one episode left.
Yeah, that's what
House of Dragon for this season.
That's how I'm trying to do it.
Anyway, my recommendation is a no-brainer because millions and millions of people are with me. But I did go see Deadpool and Wolverine yesterday.
Oh yeah, sure, dude. That had a huge 6th highest opening weekend ever, domestically.
It's insane. And I remember how we didn't talk about it on the podcast, but I was talking to you privately that I was worried that they showed too much in the trailer, the latest trailer. I was like, man, I really wish they wouldn't have shown that. I wish they wouldn't have shown that. It doesn't matter. There is so much fun surprises that happen in this movie. It's worth a watch. It's really good. I laughed a lot, obviously, and there's just it's shockingly well written. Some of the setups and stuff are really cool.
Oh, for like can I ask? So Deadpool 1 especially, but to some degree Deadpool 2 had a surprising amount of heart in it. Mm-hmm. Is that the case here, like at all? Or,
yeah, I would say so.
Okay,
I can't tell you why, but not in the same way.
Okay, that's interesting.
Not quite in the same way.
Yeah.
But surprising amount of heart for a movie based on Deadpool. But there is one moment in particular, Zach, that I 110% know you were going to absolutely appreciate.
Oh man, I'm very interested to hear what this is now.
Like when you see it, you're going to know exactly which one I'm talking about.
Okay.
So,
that you definitely intrigued me.
And yeah, it's just laugh out loud funny. There's just so many one-liners, and like I feel like I need to see it again just to and there's another thing that there's two things that I know you're going to appreciate.
Well,
like just straight up.
How are you? I got to keep notes of this, I guess.
Oh man, there's two standouts for sure. Just because I know you and I know conversations we've had in the past that you're going to be, oh, that's the one Scott's talking about, and that's the other one Scott was talking about.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, don't let the trailers sway you, and I would recommend seeing it in the theater just because things will get spoiled. Like it's going to, like they're already putting stuff in headlines on articles and stuff, which is super annoying.
Well, you definitely see people on Twitter doing their best to spoil everything.
That just drives me nuts.
Let
Let people enjoy it.
It's the people who record like scenes on their phone, like just so, but they know they're coming, right? So they obviously must have already seen it once. So they're like seeing it again, just to expressly ruin it for people, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool. What cool people they are.
Yeah. Don't be that guy. Be that guy. but go see Deadpool Wolverine. Lots of fan service, and not in a Star Wars, oh, by the way, we got Jedis in it again kind of way. It is some very fun, surprising fan service, and the fourth wall stuff is great too. They do it in clever ways, more clever than like you think the joke would be dead by now. You know what I mean? Like, but they just keep finding interesting ways to make that fun and hilarious. So yeah, highly recommend it. Well, Zach, it's been a pleasure, man, as always. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson, and we are The Gaming Outsider. Remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.